I'm here with Judy, a friend of mine, and we're gonna get her take on uh, what we've got going on in this country and the issues that we're seeing with political polarization and her ideas on that. The first question I'm going to ask her is, if 10 is there is no political polarization, and people argue sometimes, and that's okay. That's a 10. And a 1 is there is no way, unless one side wins in this political argument, and they're going to banish the other side. So what number would you put in there for where we're at, a snapshot of where we are today politically?
Well, politically, I think if you watch the network news or other news, you'd say we were absolutely, totally polarized to a number 10 polarization.
Oh, you know, 10 is that we're not.
Oh, okay, the one,
Yeah, the
one or
1.
two.
Oh, wow, that's low.
But if that's what you watch, because that's what they tend to show. But I don't believe that that's really true. I think if you read the editorials and that kind of thing, and you talk to the person in your neighborhood or that you meet, I think it's more maybe a 6, 5 or 6. It's not what it used to be, where you could have a discussion and you could disagree. I remember I used to take this blind woman to church, and she had opposite political views from what I had, and I couldn't understand because she was being helped. The group that was helping her, she was opposed to. But as we talked more and were around each other more and I listened to her, I understood why she had developed the opinion. And I think that's the main thing. We need to be connected one-on-one with people that are different, not just people that are similar to us. And it's natural to group with people that are similar to you, but it is defeating. It's your mind just will not widen and broaden. And the best way, I was thinking, how do you meet people out of maybe your area or that are not exactly like you? And I think one of the best ways is volunteering. And there are so many groups you can volunteer with. And if you don't have a lot of time, you can just do it periodically. But when you volunteer, you get to meet the people that you're volunteering for usually. And a lot of times, because you have the resources and the time to volunteer, you are going to have a little different lifestyle than they are, and a different background and frame of reference. And my goodness, when you have a chance to talk to them, especially while I was at a thrift store and food bank, and so I would meet some of the same people every month, and listening to their stories and what was happening in their lives at that moment, what brought them to the food bank, it was just amazing. They were wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. And yet so many of them felt like they were looked down on because they needed to go to a food bank. But they had so much to offer, and they could broaden other people's minds. And yesterday, the day before, I talked to a young person, and I thought it was so neat because they said, at my school now, it's cool to be different. And I thought, that is a good change, because it used to be the person who was a little bit different was ostracized. And they said, no, they said, we like seeing different things. We like talking to each other and enjoying each other's creativity and that kind of thing. And so I thought, that's a good step forward. And I thought they have on the television, I think it was last weekend in Portland, they had a cultural fair for children, and they had people from all different backgrounds come and share their food and their costumes and their culture. And although it may have not been, I mean, it was just for 1 day or 2 days, but it still gets you thinking about it, about the wonderful things that belong to other cultures and belong to people who live lives in a different way, than you do. It's just, it's so easy to make snap judgments. And I know I used to always, I had a little program at school with the kids where they would write down a snap judgment, and then I would look those over and we would do different things in the next coming weeks. And then I would have them write down their opinions, and they would have changed. And I would have been able to show them how they changed their minds because they got to know each other, where they hadn't known each other. And when we had well, you're telling my age here, but when we had the children from Vietnam come, that was a wonderful experience for our kids because so many of them had really not had any understanding. And one time they came in and they were upset because they had made one of the children cry. And I asked him why he cried, and they said they called me a little monkey. Well, they thought it was cute. They thought calling somebody up meant you were, clever, you could climb tree and all that. But they didn't know that in that boy's culture, that was one of the worst things you could say. So they learned. It was a learning experience. I mean, it was, sad for the little boy, but fortunately they loved him and he bounced back from it. But really, the way you're really going to have good experiences and be able for us to have some respect for different opinions, and that is to connect in some kind of way. Like I say, it could be volunteering, it could be joining a club or a group that is different from you. Not if you're Norwegian, you might tend to want to join a Norwegian club, and maybe that's okay for your culture, but try to find something else that, maybe a dance group from a different country or something like that, that would be get you out of what you're used to and help you to learn. In Seattle during Seafair, the week of Seafair, they have a little festival in all the different neighborhoods at different nights. So one night it might be the Mardi Gras up around Madison Avenue. Another night it was Scandinavia in Ballard. Another time they had the dragon and the gymnast down in Chinatown. And I always went to Bonodori up at the Buddhist temple where my friends were doing their beautiful dancing and I thought, again, it may just be the tip of the iceberg, but at least you are aware that there's all different ways of living, different opinions about how we should live, different opinions about what we should do, and sometimes we have to change our own opinions. Sometimes our own are not the necessarily the opinion that's going to be the best for everybody, or even turns out for yourself sometimes. And the other thing is, even with people maybe who are similar to you, but maybe you haven't particularly, they haven't been your best liked person, you maybe didn't particularly want to be in their company, I decided I'm going to always try to find the positive things about that person. I'm going to find something that I can take away that they're doing that is a good thing to do, or something nice. And after you do that for a while, you kind of let go of the other stuff, the judgmental stuff, because you see that they have things that are valid and good too to do. I think I told you I read one where the thing that mercy triumphs judgment. And so if you are going to judge, which we all do, we look at something and we judge, and some of that's good. We have to judge the distance of a car if we're driving down the street, or we have to make judgments. But a lot of times we make judgments from our own frame of reference, from our own opinions, and we should think first, okay, be compassionate, be merciful, think a little bit about this judgment you're making, and are you looking at that person with kindness, and are you looking at them as a valid, respected human being? And in that case, you should listen to them, and they may not agree with you ever, you may not agree with them ever, but there's always things you can appreciate in each other, always things you can learn from each other. And I know it's happened to me. I have known some people. I knew somebody that I associated in a group with, and I always thought that person made such snarky remarks, and so I kind of wanted to distance myself from them. But then I decided, no, wait, that person does this really nicely, and they give there, and they volunteer here, so, just ignore that other stuff. And after a while, I didn't even really think about it. It didn't really affect me. The snarky remarks just kind of rolled off me, it seemed like. So I think there is hope. And I hear, like I say, I hear kids, talking about their friends, and their friends are live in a completely different neighborhood or live a different style of life, and yet there they are being really good friends because they're open. And I think another thing, I said the media, I don't like the way they constantly show division and show people shouting at each other and playing it up. But at the same time, you see things like on television, on the computer, you wouldn't have seen back in the 40s or 50s. You wouldn't have seen, for instance, a mixed race couple like you do now, and it's just regarded as just the normal thing. It's not something that's out of the ordinary at all. And you see groups of children with people from all different backgrounds playing together. And so I think there has been a good positive change in that. Some of it's in advertisements, but that's okay, because, and they show people of color, all different colors, in prominent professional positions. And to be honest, when I was 7 or 8, they wouldn't have been. They would have been housekeepers, or they would have been ditch diggers, or, there's been good changes in this country, and I think it'll continue. So I'm trying to think. I think
Well, I tell you what. Now that is quite a roadmap you set for us, and it's something for all of us could aspire to. And I want to thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll get some people to find their piece of them inside of what you've said.
Oh,
thank you for your time.
Well, I just want to tell you one thing. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to change your mind, and you're never too old to just have wonderful experiences that you wouldn't have expected if you just stayed within your little cubicle. So,
well, I couldn't think of a better summation. And thank you so very much. Okay, thanks. All right.